I think it's called a lift bridge, something like that. I'll put it on the screen if I've got that wrong. And there's only 2 of these, I believe, in the UK. And we saw one briefly when we were in Sunderland, Teesside, Middlesbrough. I'm not entirely certain now. We did see one, didn't get this close to it though. If you look back at it, you perhaps appreciate how it operates.
I don't know where I plucked lift bridge from. The correct name is transporter bridge, but it is also known as a ferry bridge. Transporter bridges are very unusual. There are less than 10 worldwide, of which about half are currently in use. They operate using a suspended gondola that ferries people and, in some cases, like the one here in Newport, vehicles across the river. The Newport Transporter Bridge first opened in 1906 and crosses the River Usk. It is only one of 2 operational transporter bridges in the UK. We passed the other operational transporter bridge back in episode 35 as we rode around the River Tees in Middlesbrough. Both are currently closed while work is taking place.
So this is Newport, the city of Newport.
There are 7 cities in Wales. Newport is the last of the 5 we have passed through in our trip around the English and Welsh coastline. The other 4 were Bangor, St David's, Swansea, and of course the Welsh capital, Cardiff. We're over 5 minutes in, and just in case you're new here, this is episode 82 of our Coast series. 82 episodes, I hear you say. We never imagined it would take this many to catalogue our trip around the English and Welsh coastline. Thanks to all our regular viewers for sticking with us.
Beautiful.
Having left the Cardiff East Premier Inn, we're trying our best to keep as close to the coast as we make our way to the Severn Crossing. Jump on the back and enjoy the ride.
possibly the best house we've seen on the coast, certainly location wise. I think you have to be here to fully appreciate why the location's so good. It's a bit remote anyway, and it's remote off of remote, and then they've got their own little peninsula, if you like. Look at that. Their own gate down to a slipway and a beach, presumably their private beach. What a wonderful place. Well, we came down here before, didn't we? And we had a little drive around that block. Do you remember? When we... Yeah. Gorgeous, isn't it? So the high street is closed.
It's a bit unnecessary for our coast trip, but we are briefly visiting Chepstow for two reasons. Firstly, it's a lovely little town on the banks of the River Wye. Lots of historic buildings, including a great castle open to the public. I particularly like the old bridge that crosses the Wye from Wales to England.
Go across the old bridge, across the Wye, I believe, briefly into England. Lovely bridge, isn't it? There you go. I say briefly because I'm going to go back into the town now. Do it again. Look at that.
The second reason for passing through is that we want to explore Beachley to discover the location of the old ferry and see a different view of the Severn Bridge. The Beachley Peninsula is almost entirely occupied and controlled by the British Army. It separates the mouth of the River Wye from the Severn estuary. Until 1966, a ferry operated from here that took traffic across the Severn estuary to Orst on the other side. The ferry was made redundant by the opening of the original Severn crossing.
We've just come out of Chepstow and we're underneath the Severn crossing. This is the River Severn, or the start of the Severn estuary, and this is the first bridge that was built between England and Wales. There used to be a ferry, and I believe that may be the jetty. As you can see, Jared is down there on a slipway into the sea.
Not sure if you can appreciate this from the filming, but the rate at which this water is leaving this estuary is just amazing. And you can see the tide is definitely going out. Sometimes you kind of look and you're guessing, is that coming in or going out? But you can see it flowing out at a rate of knots. But this is the second highest rise and fall of tide in the whole world you're seeing here. And literally millions, if not hundreds of millions of gallons go in and out twice a day. It's quite amazing. We're at Beachley, which is a little, not quite an island, but it's a little peninsula that separates the Severn from the Wye. As it goes around there, the Wye goes around the other side of it. So essentially the old Severn crossing has two bridges. It has the suspension bridge over the Severn, but then it has a cable stayed bridge that takes it over the Wye. And if you're on the bridge and you don't pay a lot of attention, you just think you're going across one bridge, but actually you're going across two bridges. And most of this peninsula is used by the army. In fact, I think all of it's controlled by the Ministry of Defence, and you're allowed access this far along the road. And I think what we're looking at here with these cobbles, this is obviously an old slipway, but I think it's possibly also the ferry as well. Those wooden uprights over there probably indicate that there was some sort of pier there at some stage as well. And before the bridge was built, here was a ferry from this side to the other. I bet they had to choose their times very carefully. I'm not sure I would have liked to have gone out on a ferry with it moving quite that fast. I'm guessing at other times of the day the tide is a bit more settled, like when it's on the turn. We're just wondering if it's okay to put the drone up. Take a look at the bridge, just an up and back down, but there's a bit of wind. There's a bit of wind here. I'd imagine there's quite a bit of wind at the top. Those flags are going quite well over there as well, aren't they? We'll see, we might just take it up. That flag's in the shelter, but those flags are really going for it. And I'm worried if I get above there, it might take a gust of wind or just take the whole thing.
While we were flying the drone, another motorcyclist came along on his Yamaha DT125LC. Before we had children, our main form of transport was motorcycles, and we had one of these for several years until someone stole it. This particular bike has been lovingly restored by the owner Jake in memory of his sister Hannah, and what a good job he's made of it. This is a Yamaha DT125 called Hannah.
Named after your sister?
Yeah.
Who sadly passed away last year,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
When we need to cross a river or estuary, we have a rule. We always use the nearest available crossing to the coast, but we're about to break it. The old Severn Bridge is simply a much nicer way to cross the Severn estuary than the newer bridge. This bridge, with its slender design and the fantastic view you get, is much better. After 30 episodes in Wales, we're finally making our way back into England. Let us know in the comments how many more episodes you think it will be before we get back home to Weston-super-Mare.